Hello, my name's Mark and welcome to the SimHanger for all things flight sim related. We've got the Rugby World Cup coming up soon, so no prizes for guessing who I'll be supporting. Also coming up today, we've got this. Well, today's a double bill, and both in Xplane. We're going to be able to look at some newly released ORBX scenery, and Simcoders have released their first reality expansion pack for a turboprop, which is going to allow us to pimp our Pilatus. Skagit Regional Airport features all the high-quality elements we've come to expect from ORBX, including high-fidelity graphics, minute attention to detail, and people flow animations. Scenery coverage is relatively small, only extending a few miles around the airport. It does include a bonus airport, Whiskey November 51 Bayview Farm Airstrip, and we'll be flying in there today. This North American airport is situated on the west coast in the state of Washington and not far from the Canadian border. The Skagit Valley is framed by the Cascade Mountains to the east and the San Juan Islands to the west. The airport has 2 runways as well as a fairly wide range of terminal facilities including fueling, variety of aircraft maintenance and related services, and flight instruction. Today we're going to be departing from Skagit Regional, shown in red on the map, and doing a quick pattern, touch and go, and then heading off to Bayview Farm Airstrip, highlighted in yellow. The team at Simcoders have released another reality expansion pack, and this time it's for the Pilatus PC12 from Carenado. The Pilatus from Carenado has been out for quite some time for Xplane. What the reality expansion pack does is give it a complete overhaul. The reality expansion pack is a separate purchase to the Carenado PC12. Both programs available from the Xplane.org store. Let's have a look at the Simcoders website and see what we get with the reality expansion pack. The main feature is you get a persistent aircraft, and by that I mean you get an aircraft that shows its wear and tear over a period of time depending on the number of hours that it's flown and how it's been handled and treated over a period of time. The reality expansion pack's 50,000 plus lines of code include a completely revamped flight and ground dynamics. The aircraft's condition, configuration, and weight and balance all now have a direct impact on how the aircraft handles. In addition to the more realistic flight and ground dynamics, you get a complex damages system, an economic system compatible with FS economy, native virtual reality support, and we'll be giving that a try just now, an interactive walk around, maintenance hangar, and so on. It also features a realistic PT6 engine logic with real turboprop lag. The aircraft sounds have also been given an upgrade. Carenado have done justice to the Pilatus, which is indeed a handsome aeroplane, with its characteristic turboprop long nose housing the Pratt & Whitney PT6A engine. It features PBR and dynamic lighting. This model is actually the PC12M, the M standing for multi-purpose. In addition to the passenger door, it features a cargo door. The seats can be quick and easily removed, and the aircraft converted into a cargo carrier. It's a versatile aircraft capable of landing on unpaved surfaces and short runways. Its powerful turbocharged motor allows it to climb at nearly 1,900 feet per minute to an altitude of 30,000 feet, and to cruise at 280 knots. Let's jump into the cockpit of the Pilatus and see what Simcoders Reality Expansion Pack has to offer. We'll start off by having a look at the Carenado menu. A brings up the autopilot. The O stands for options, and there's various options which include add or remove the static elements such as chocks and so on. Open or close the baggage or passenger doors, and in addition it will allow you to turn on or off the reflections. I personally prefer the reflections on, but if you're suffering from frame rates, turning them off can assist. And the C stands for views or volume, so why C? I have no idea. And by clicking on the appropriate area you can change your view quickly and easily. The Reality Expansion Pack or REP menu can be displayed by hovering the mouse over the left hand side of the screen, and it will display a number of icons. The first one being the kneeboard, which includes the standard checklists from startup to shutdown. It also includes a checklist of various emergency procedures and a quick reference guide in terms of operating parameters for the aircraft. The second icon is weights and balances, so you can see if you are within allowable limits. And the third one is an interactive walk around, and the walk around is very comprehensive, checking everything from the lights, ailerons, flaps, and so on. I also tried the interactive walk around in VR, and it was possible to do all the functions, but some of the positioning leaves a little bit to be desired. The next item on the menu is a tow function. I won't demo that, but it's fairly straightforward and allows you to manually tow the aircraft. The fifth icon is the maintenance report, and it indicates anything that requires your attention, and it's just a simple click to repair it. And this maintenance report is for the persistent aircraft aspect of the REP. For prepared and FSX users, it's somewhat similar to the A2A AccuSim function. It does lack some of the finesse and functionality of the AccuSim, but it's pretty good and helpful. And the last page allows us to enable or disable the FS Economy function. Looking at some of the other aspects now, going to plugins, Simcoders REP, and looking at the settings. The settings present a number of options which are available. I'm clicking here, show the side menu on mouse hover only, so it's not always visible. And now as I move over, that's quite a nice feature. The other option it's got is a wear out facility, and you can choose between brand new, privately owned, or flying club. I'm going to choose privately owned. The last icon on the menu is the auto start, but we're going to be doing a manual start and in VR. Overall, the VR implementation is fairly good, but there are a number of problems, including getting into the pilot seat, where I found I was being teleported out of the aircraft many occasions. I think there's a bug, or perhaps I was doing something wrong. The controllers also don't interact with the caution lights on the main dashboard. I'm using my trusty HTC Vive. As you know, I sent the HP Reverb back and I'm anxiously awaiting for the release of the Cosmos. Let's clear those sunshades out the way so we can access the overhead panel. Let's get the yoke out the way. Parking brake is on and set. Let's move these out the way. We can interact with various aspects of the rear cabin. There's fold-out tables. By clicking them, they unfold, and we can also interact with the window shades. Power control lever is at idle. Fuel is cut off. Flaps are at 0. Inverter on. Battery 1 and battery 2 is on. And we have lights and 24 volts. That's correct. Nav and beacon lights on, and cabin lights and signs are on. I am using the GTN 750 from Reality XP today. Anybody using Prepared will be familiar with the Flight 1 GTN. It's exactly the same. Lights test. Stick shaker,
fire,
and fire test completed and all okay. Another problem I had was I can't react with the autopilot using my controllers. I have to use the keys, and that's because as soon as you click on it, it becomes a pop-out window. So there's a problem in VR there. It's now time to start her up, and she will make a bit of a racket while she starts. Start her on. Look for NG above 13 and less than 20 ideally. And condition lever forward to about the 3rd red mark. That massive PT6 engine spooling up and just waiting for the engines to stabilize and monitoring pressures and temperatures. We are of course parked at Skagit Regional, Kilo Bravo Victor Sierra. Engines now settled down, so inverter off. And time to put both generator 1 and generator 2 on. Avionics on, both 1 and 2. And let's have a listen to ATIS.
Kilo Bravo Victor Sierra Airport Information Delta 1715 Zulu weather wind 345 at 3 visibility 10 sky condition ceiling 1700 overcast temperature 18 dew point 14 altimeter 2990 advice on initial contact you have information Delta.
Altimeter is set and we're now setting our altitude. We're only going to be flying fairly low because it's a touch and go today before going on to Farmview Airstrip. We'll now set our heading and our course needles to line up with the departure runway. Our ECS is now on. Control our temperatures and our dim light on. Pitot on and we're ready for taxi. Back into screen mode and condition lever to flight idle. Taxi lights now going on. Looks like there's plenty of room for me to taxi. Now prior to taxi you need to move the power control lever into beta and into reverse. At flight idle she pulls ahead and taxis far too fast to make it safe and to control. So you vary the amount of reverse to control the speed whilst taxiing. Now setting our transponder to altitude reporting. And flaps for takeoff at 15. Now testing the inertial separator. The inertial separator is normally left on if you're taking off from uneven surfaces. We're not today, so we're going to leave it off. In terms of scenery, Skagit Regional is everything that one would expect in terms of complexity and so on. But it's just under 33 Australian dollars. And compared to some other airports at the same price point, I do feel it is a little bit expensive for what you get. Now holding short and completing preparations prior to lineup. Parking brake on, power control lever out of beta and to flight idle. Landing gear 3 green, flaps are at 15. Condition levers at flight idle. Engine is stable. Landing and strobe lights on. And here we go. The ground handling and taxiing is so much easier and more realistic with the REP package installed compared to the default configuration. We are now cleared for takeoff VFR at 1500 feet. Power control lever being pushed forward, and you can just feel and hear the lag from that turboprop. Positive climb, gear up. I don't have Washington True Earth installed, and you can see the blending of the scenery for Skagit Regional being slightly darker, and it does highlight how small the scenery area with the airport actually is. Flaps up, reducing power to stay within safe operating limits. I'm already at 200 knots and I've overshot my altitude by some 250 feet and gonna have to correct. In the real world, ATC would be having a few choice words for me about now. Today we're gonna do a left-hand traffic pattern, but instead of turning from base on to final, I'm going to head out over the coast, have a look at some of the islands and see if we can spot Bayview Farm airstrip before turning back for a visual approach runway 28. Now turn back and heading towards the airport, and there is Bayview Farm airstrip just over on our left hand side, just being circled by the mouse now, and after the touch and go that's where we'll be hoping to land. Gear down. Flaps to 15 as I'm now below 160 knots. The weather has cleared a little bit, but it's still fairly hazy. Landing lights on, and it's now time to turn towards final for a visual approach. Flaps to second notch down, and I'm looking for a speed of about 100 knots at this time. And the airport just coming into view. Autopilot off. And the aircraft is mine. Just watching the airspeed, just coming up on 100 knots. And final stage of flaps coming in. Looking for a speed of about 19 knots. I don't want to get much slower than that on this stage of the approach. $500 and I'm on the money. Traffic on the road in front of us. $85 knots and a gentle flare. Okay, so maybe not that gentle. Power on. Gear up and flaps 15. And flaps fully retracted. Now flying back out to the coast, and we're then going to turn around and head straight into Bayview Farm airstrip, which is straight ahead, and I'll leave you for a moment and enjoy the landing. Just watch out for the power lines just before the runway. Speed 160 and gear down. cleaning up the cockpit, and then we're gonna taxi to our parking. And so my final thoughts in terms of Skagit Regional. I think the airport's expertly done, as we've come to expect from ORBX. I just feel, as I said earlier, it's a little bit expensive for such a small area coverage. Nonetheless, I will give it an 8 out of 10. Simcoders Reality Expansion Pack for the Carenado PC12 is very, very well done and transforms the aircraft and makes it just what a turboprop should be, a real handful. And it's great that they chose the Pilatus, as it's such a versatile aircraft. There are a few bugs in the VR and hopefully they'll be sorted out soon with updates. I personally enjoy the idea of a persistent aircraft, but I would like to see a little bit more work or detail on the maintenance side, perhaps visuals of the aircraft and the item requiring attention. Nonetheless, the Pilatus is going to get a lot more airtime from me in the future, and I'm going to give this a 7.3 out of 10. Well, that brings us to the end of yet another video. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. Don't forget to keep the blue side up and, if possible, stay away from power lines. If you liked it, consider giving me a thumbs up or perhaps even a sub. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now. I'm too fast and that runway's a little shorter than I thought it was going to be. Come on, down, brake, end of runway. Oh, sorry Mr. Farmer, I think I'm destroying your crops.